what do you think it is that's holding people back from having this discussion more? Is it purely money? Is it purely the fact that we can't see past things that aren't visually right in front of us sometimes, or don't have that much of I would say maybe sexy marketing appeal to it? What is it that, because I can even understand some of the regulators not getting behind this, because regulators are all slow to do things. Lobbyists are very good at their job. But this sounds, beyond something that's a little bit problematic. This is a very big issue.
It's a good question as to why it's not being talked about. There's an interesting, deafening silence in media about risks of GMOs. Mm-hmm. Same in academia, same in the government, same among farmers. Those are the four groups that have been targeted by the biotech industry for a massive disinformation and infiltration campaign, which I've tracked as I visited 45 countries on this topic over 27 years. And we understand how they have manipulated media, sometimes in a very aggressive manner, how they've manipulated academia. If someone dares to write an article or a research study showing that there's problems with GMOs around it, they can get attacked. They can lose their job, lose their funding, lose their status. I've interviewed many of these people who weren't expecting to be, quote, whistleblowers. They were just doing their job. But when they reported their findings, they were fired or they were censored. So there's a full court press on disinformation, cover up. There's also a full court hype on CRISPR. CRISPR may, in fact, heal defects in human genomes. I'm not against that when it's not inheritable, when it's one person making a choice. Some people have had gene therapy and died, but that was their choice because their thing they were trying to heal was also life-threatening. But there is no general discussion about the risks. And part of the lack of discussion about the side effects of CRISPR is in how it is done. If you're doing CRISPR and you're doing a new thing, you look at a computer program and say, okay, it is likely to also cut here, here, and here. And according to the computer, those aren't important parts of the genome. So we can get away with it. And when they do their tests, if they do any tests to see if their cut and restructuring, reattachment was according to what they want, it's usually with inexpensive methods that will miss massive side effects. The few research studies that are published that do long-form reads and other ways of checking the genome, they always say, we're surprised to find out that these really long sections of DNA were gone or duplicated or reversed or scrambled. And most people don't know that because that's not how it's practiced. And the biotech industry has this cheerleading echo chamber of disinformation about that is aimed at regulators and governments and the media to all say, we want a free hand at doing what we're doing. Now, that's one thing. But the good news is it's very easy to explain the dangers of genetically engineering microbes, especially in a post-pandemic world. Yeah. It's very easy. I think I can do it in 3 minutes and give the aha, OMG moment. Like, you mean there's millions of unregulated genetically engineered microbes being released by high school students and home hobbyists every year or will be soon? And they can overrun and change my microbiome, my child's microbiome, the soil microbiome, the ocean's microbiome. What are we going to do about it? That's pretty quick. The other thing is, fortunately, CASPAR, there are movements and campaigns and organizations whose success depends on a healthy microbiome. That is human health. All the functional medicine, integrated medicine, the people you talk to, they all know about the microbiome. So we have a program. They're going to be our first supporters. We're asking healthcare practitioners to join us, become regularly annual donors, and receive all sorts of information for themselves and their patients as an excuse to protect the microbiome. But there's also regenerative agriculture. The soil does the heavy lifting in healthy regenerative agriculture. They need that to be functioning properly. Climate change needs carbon drawdown to be successful, and that happens primarily with microbes. They need to do it with healthy microbes and not to damage that. Oceans and just terrestrial environmentalism requires healthy microbiomes. Rainforests, great, let's protect the rainforests. But it's not everything you see, it's what you don't see. A microbe released in New Jersey could take down the rainforest in the Amazon, and we're not seeing it, and we don't want to wait till we see it in order to do something about it. So what we need to do as an institute is find the leaders of all of these different movements, as well as the spiritual groups that believe GMO means God move over and has no place in human health or the environment. And we need to share what we now know from a scientific standpoint, from a logical standpoint, from a risk perspective, and then help them craft that message to that movement. So we become a movement of movements. We really don't have a lot of time in this. We can't, I helped build a movement over 27 years for food. We don't have that time to stop GMO 2.0's, unregulated release of microbes all over. So a movement of movements, and because it's so easy to explain, and if you go to responsibletechnology.org and you look at the 16-minute film, Don't Let the Gene Out of the Bottle, it's like an alarm call that you can't not see. And the 7 reasons why gene editing is dangerous and unpredictable, you now see what happens in the genome, and you can't accept the lies of the biotech industry. So we can influence popular culture with powerful messaging and visuals and stories and peer-reviewed articles and all of that, and documentaries and docuseries and all that. So we have a big plan to influence coalition building, popular culture, all aimed at this fire hose at regulations and treaties, and doing it quickly as possible. So it turns out influencing human behavior in terms of consumer choice for 25 years was cheap by comparison. We got away with fumes as budgets, and we're able to, hire people for next to nothing and get away with it. Now, when we're trying to create national laws and international treaties all over the planet, because it doesn't help if we got the US locked down. Not good enough here. We need a lot of money. We need big funders to come in, but we also need the everyday person to say, okay, I can get by with this amount per month taken out of and every time I see my credit card statement, I'll say, good, I'm helping to protect the little guys, the microbes, and all things that they support.
And your own health. And
Yes.
your longevity and your kids'
Yes.
longevity and the Earth's longevity. I've always been this case. You want to be an eco. Yeah, there's that too. You want to be an eco warrior. Start with yourself. A healthy person is basically a healthy microbe on Earth. And the Earth has thousands of millions of trillions of microbes, just like we do. It's just on different levels, macro micros, right? So you want to start with yourself, and then that results in a healthier Earth as more and more people do that as well. So this is really, really essential stuff.